Yes. It's year one, my dear listeners. Charlotte is not here, as I have said. So, contrary to what my content management system is claiming, I released the first episode on January 24, 2024. 24, 24. Cute. Also, contrary to episode number 48, I don't know. I don't know how to put it. I still have to finish drafts for episode 46 and 47. It's confusing, I know. Next year, I might not be that famous millionaire, but the podcast will be better, I promise. Some say finish strong, and I agree. But I'm also finishing messy, we can say. Many reasons involved, and I'm the king of excuses, so I won't even try to put a blame on something or someone else. Yes, one of my machine crashed and it took me a while to recover much needed data. Yes, my schedule is all over the place, and yes, I have to prioritize money making over this. Yes, my rented equipment turned against me at the last moment and blah blah. Yes, there was this, yes, there was that, but at the end of the day, it's me. Who else? This is a one-man show, so there's no one to blame except maybe Charlotte, but again, she's not here. That's a story for some other time. When I started this podcast on January 24, 2024, a little more than a year ago, I was still recovering from a car accident, and I couldn't work, so I went back to studying for my IT courses, sketching short stories, writing poetry, photography, and this podcast. So, what is that they say? Improvise, adapt, overcome. So I did. And I'm pretty sure this podcast wouldn't be here if I wasn't run over by a pickup truck. Yeah, I know it sounds terrible, but that's the way it is. Chaos is truly a ladder. And as a good old Chinese proverb is saying, in every crisis lies the seed of opportunity. I might have pins in my ankles and a steel rod in my leg, and I might never play hockey or run 12K again, but I have this, the thing I was trained for a long time ago. My keyboard is my tool, but also it's my refuge, and I love sound recording. It is one of my favorite distractions. I remember doing voiceover for many talented journalists on the national TV. I used to work back home. Can you imagine what a setback for them being a great reporter with zero vocabulary capabilities? But they knew everything else, and the best TV reporters know how to edit. So remember, I'm talking about a year 1994, if I remember it right. It was a SVHS and beta era with some digital audio tapes emerging to the scene. Editing your material back then was a true craft. So yes, besides I was obviously a competent writer, my voice and my diction was my other specialty. But it was also my native language, not English, right? So I never learned how to edit, and I was pretty lost without my audio technician. I still am. I mean, I love Hindenburg. I think it's a very intuitive tool. However, when it comes to learning more about it, keep procrastinating. I'm always saying mañana. I will master it tomorrow. That day never comes. So I guess this year is the year that I will have to do it. I mean, if I want to improve this, like the whole thing, the whole show. So, well, this celebratory episode shouldn't be my resume. So let's move on with the podcast. After some time, I purchased the domain Selection FM, although I'm still not sure when will I put it online and what kind of a content beside the short description of my episodes I want to see there. I mean, I don't want to keep I do want to keep the popular science tone everywhere. It's just I'm not sure how much of everything else I want to reveal. Do I want to connect my other creative projects to it? Do I want to reveal more about me personally, about myself? I'm still contemplating. And you know what I say, when in doubt, don't. So I'll keep it as it is until I find a solution and extra time to work on graphic design and everything else which is non-essential to this audio project. Yes, I said it. Audio project, because it's going to take an exponential effort for me to move to a video format, especially if I don't include any guests. And if I do, especially with someone else on the show, I really don't want to repeat the same amateurish mistakes I did with this audio cast. So langsam aber sicher, or although it's not the same thing, but it's applicable, so we can say slow and steady. Again, repeating mistakes is not exactly my favorite thing. It should belong to somewhere in the past when the learning process happened. However, that learning curve is rarely linear. It's more like a bump on a road, an occasional loop, a setback, or a series on unevenly curved spring, like during the production process. I don't know how to describe it at all. But each time, regardless of severity of the events, I bounce back. And what also helped a lot was the fact that now I have a deeper understanding of myself more than anything else. I know what motivates me, and I know what can destroy me, so I stick with the first. But that's a topic for another time, just like Charlotte. The main thing is understanding yourself and hardware, software, and other skills and tools needed will come when a person is ready. It's like a magician's manifestation of will, which doesn't necessarily include magic, but steady mind and focus, right? State of flow it's crucial in this process, and it's a sine qua non, a must for every disciplined creative person. I mean, anyone can be creative, but very few creative people have a discipline and the drive to keep producing content even when they don't feel like it. I'm personally very much against the idea of writer's block, because people are generally giving themselves too much importance just for simple tasks as this. So writing is a craft, and writing a podcast is not very different. Sure, you can improvise here and there. There's more flexibility involved, but what is important is being out there, not just a sketch in a notebook. Discipline is what differentiates those with so-called larger-than-life or out-of-this-world ideas who never finish anything, and from those of modest, who are modest, average content creators, but who are at the same time dedicated, focused, and persistent. So yes, it is incredibly interesting I'm still doing this. I actually surprised myself. Not that I did not expect that I will persevere, but I seriously thought I will run out of resources, technical support, or sheer luck. It did happen a couple of times, but I bounced back again, because as I have said, if you have a will to manifest, everything else will follow. It is a magic. And I learned a lot. I learned that there are no perfect days. Some days you get distracted with everyday BS. Some days you have a headache, and some days are simply impossible to handle for whatever reasons. The point is, it's never perfect, and if you expect a perfect day, you might as well give up right away. Again, the same happened with this episode, which was planned to be released on the 24th, exactly on the anniversary. I call it. I don't know how else to put it. But it didn't happen for reasons mostly related to my hardware. I don't want to get into too many technical details. There is no point to bother you with that. The main thing is I did not think too much in advance. So technical or not, again, it's my own mistake. I cannot blame it on my microphone, headphones, or whatever. And the more I'm doing this, the more I'm aware of strategic planning for everything. As they say, the devil is in the details. Also, funny how I thought I will have a lot to say 1 year after, but I actually don't. I'm kind of empty now when I have to draw the line and be in a celebratory mood, because there is so much more to do, and so there is no time to celebrate. It's all about the anticipation of what is coming next. It's all about that rush when finishing the next episode. You're already thinking about the next one, not so much about that moment when it's finally published, when it's finally online. So I would say it's some sort of permanently delayed gratification in a way. I get more pleasure of typing this with my fast 10 fingers than anything else. Just watching the paragraphs running over screen puts me in that so desirable state of flow, a place where all you need is water and maybe some caffeinated drinks. For me, it's a bliss, a natural environment, a meditation chapel, not only for me, but I believe for every INFJ out there. Once the written product is done, the recording must be scheduled. Although I do enjoy talking to a mic, I tend to be more tense than when writing, paying more attention to my voice than to the actual content. But it is getting easier with time. And again, reading someone else's material is easy. It's way easier. You follow the rules and that's it. Reading your own is always a constant worry if you're going to sound authentic or not. Are you going to be genuine? Because if you lose your personality while saying this or while narrating, nothing can be worse. Because you are your product. You cannot imitate or pretend. I'm not saying you have to scream and shout and giggle all the time, but to be relaxed. Podcasting is all about maintaining the balance in between quality content and genuine personality. And let me tell you something really quick. Just because I understand it doesn't mean I already achieved it. But again, it'll get better with time. So there's really not much to be ecstatic about. When you don't have a dedicated audio support and you have zero experience with other aspects of podcasting which are not related to strictly journalistic work, when you're a one-man enterprise, you make mistakes, and sometimes you rush the work, sometimes you don't feel like doing audio again, although the sound would be better if you scream through the window on a busy street. Sometimes your equipment acts out and 2 dedicated hours in the studio are not nearly enough for you to finish the episode. Sometimes this, sometimes that, and I'm always full of excuses for not having a better product. That's why this year I will focus on details. Now that I know the basics, I will go back to the origins where I truly want to implement a gruesome grind of investigative journalism where you go back and forth until all the facts are checked out and put in the right place. I want to go back to that detail-oriented exploration spirit I put with the episode about ants. I know you probably don't understand the process behind the content, but I know exactly how much energy I put in the different episodes, and I really want to even it out. I want to equalize everything and not to rush anymore. Each of those episodes deserve equal amount of investment, mental, physical, whatever, all together. But then again, my life is all over the place, and this is not an excuse. I have a hard time coordinating everything. Never mind the fact that I was always really bad at multitasking. So yeah, it's been a year now, and I learned things I did not know anything about. Still, it's a never-ending process, and I'm sincerely following my own advice of, never stop exploring. It doesn't matter what you do as long as you truly stay forever curious and not follow so-called trends, even if it's a scientific subject. It's true that the moment we stop learning, we die. And it's so easy these days. Most of the people are consuming content not as something they can reuse, reinvest, or recycle in a better package. They consume content with the sole purpose of killing time in the worst possible way. As a lazy human species, we want to know everything about, whatever new soccer transfer is, Kamamashi, new kitchen decor, who cheated on whom in so-called high society, and what is the latest shuffle dance trend on TikTok. How is this generation going to help us reach stars? How can we rely on brainless morning TV show worshippers to save the world? Unfortunately, I don't see much future for our tiny little rock, at least not the one we optimistically envisioned 40 years ago when we were children. In the meantime, the world has shifted from curiosity to almost catatonic state of quickly consumed emotional urges. So more explosions, more scandals, more obscenity, and even more gore. Well, we live in the world where brain-rotten pop stars and bloodshed in Ukraine is competing for viewers on YouTube, and a world where victims are banalized and ignorance is worshipped. Still, I still have hope. I'm not going to go Friedman about it, but I do believe it or not that it's going to get better. Well, it's also optimism comes with age. The speed of scientific and technological discoveries is like never before. And to be honest, despite everything the next decade might be the most important in human history. Sure, the World War III is here, but so is the road to self-aware AI, fusion, space mining, nanotechnology, bioinformatics, you name it, it's nuts. So sure, you may use the phrase, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times, which was the famous opening line from Charles Dickens' novel A Tale of Two Cities. Although then, it was Industrial Revolution 1.0 and today is Industrial Revolution 4.0, characterized by the integration of digital technologies into manufacturing and industrial processes. The Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, robotics, big data, advanced automation, and so on. Oh well, so much for this. Again, if you have asked me 1 year ago, what will I say after I'm done with 48 episodes, 12 months later, I was pretty sure I will have a lot to yap about, but actually, I don't. However, I know that those glimpses of wisdom, or whatever you want to call it, will come on my way along the road of this unofficial second season, which is going to come like with the episode 49. Then I will try to put as much dedication and enthusiasm in each and every episode because I know sometimes I was being lazy while collecting material, and the last thing I want to do this year is to lower my own standards. No. The only way is up. I began this podcast with UFOs, and I'll start the unofficial new season, episode 49, with the same approach of presenting you another unexplained event on Canadian territory. Well, until then, know one thing. Not everything in the skies deserves your attention, so be picky about what is worth investigating. And as always, until the next time, and many more episodes to come after, stay selective. Bye-bye.